What's going on, guys? My name is Adam with AKA MotorWorks. This is my boy Keenan. And we're going to kind of walk you through everything that we've done with this car, trying to get it ready for RADwood.
Well, we failed.
Spoiler alert, we failed. And here we are. Let them know what's up.
Alright, so, well, we did a ton of work. You guys are going to see in the rest of the video, we've done the clutch, we've done the flywheel, we've done all sorts of stuff to it. The drive shaft's out because we had to rebuild the drive shaft because there was play in it, in the CV joint. And I decided to go ahead and do the U joint as well. But all of that's kind of what we kind of failed at. We are not able to finish that in time before RADwood. So we're kind of screwed on that. So we're just going to take another car down and enjoy the show. Unfortunately, this car won't be attending like we thought. We put the new alternator in, the cooling system's all refreshed. The car is almost restored. We'll get there eventually with it, so stay tuned. We're still restoring this car bit by bit, and hopefully it's gonna be better. I wanted to give you guys a background on this car. Actually, this car, I bought it sight unseen for $3,500 in California. And the guy who sold it to me is a pretty cool guy. His name's Scott. He used to take this car autocrossing. So this was like his race car. He took it to the track, took it autocrossing like a lot. It actually has 400,000 miles, and he had it for the last, I think, 14 years before me. He's had this car for 14 years, which is pretty impressive. So he finally ended up selling it to me because he needed something for his younger son that he just had a kid, and he sold it to me for $3,500. It needs a lot more work than I initially thought, but you know, we're working around it, and it's for 400,000 miles plus. That's an estimation. It's probably more.
Yeah. It's
almost 500,000 miles. This car is in like amazing shape. I mean, if you look at the interior, it's all. He's done a great job restoring it. It has almost everything works on it, minus the windshield wipers because we don't have those attached because race car. I think that was for weight savings.
Weight reduction.
I have no idea why he doesn't have the windshield wipers on, but restoring this is a big process. Unfortunately, it is kind of my daily right now. So we're trying to kind of rush through it, but eventually we're gonna put a turbo on it. I'm gonna get something else to daily drive, something a little bit more reliable, and this is gonna be a sick build. It really is.
So we do have some cool stuff in store. We didn't make it to RADwood, unfortunately, but at the end of the day, we're still pretty excited about this thing. It's already ready for a turbo to go in, so that's something that might happen shortly once we get all the regular stuff back together. But I mean, eventually we're gonna throw a turbo on here. What else did you have in mind for it? I mean,
well, we're gonna do a bunch of like ECU tuning stuff. We're gonna hook up a Raspberry Pi to it and actually try and tune it ourselves. There's actually a couple different kits for this right now. They have the Miller chip for it, which kind of gives you a little bit of tuning aspects. But for turbos, I've heard people go with like Mega Squirt or something like that. So instead of going that route, we're thinking maybe we build our own piggyback that still uses the factory ECU for most aspects, but also takes in like turbo, what's it called? MAF sensor readings and a bunch of other readings, as well as gives us the ability to run coils directly to it and control the injectors directly through the piggyback.
And we're going to be doing a mass airflow conversion on this too, right?
Yeah, so if we decide to go with Miller, we'll get their conversion kit, but if we decide to code it ourselves, we'll actually grab our own MAF sensor from something else, put it in there, and then code it ourselves. So that's long-term goals. Hopefully we get there. We really need to finish. As you guys can see, the drive shaft is right here, sort of in pieces. That's our CV joint, what kind of held us up. This guy right here is really disgusting. We have the new joint, it's in that box, but it doesn't come with this part and this part. And I thought this actually detaches when I bought that, because this part alone was $250, and that's without this boot. So I was like, you know what, I'll reuse the boot. It's still in decent shape. But unfortunately, it's kind of like stuck on this. I think there's some sort of like silicone sealer or something like that holding this together. So what I'm gonna have to do is order a new one of these. It's not gonna make it in time. Then I'm gonna put the drive shaft back together. And then this goes back in the car and the car drives again.
We did do a few things right though.
We did.
We got the cooling system.
We did, yeah.
That was a big problem that we were having when we first started this build.
Exactly.
It was overheating constantly. Thermostat was stuck open or closed. It was one of the two.
Yeah,
I mean, the thermostat was bad. We finally replaced that. If you want to take a look over here, you got the new radiator. We did a little bit of updating on the radiator hoses. You got the new fan shroud, new fan clutch.
Yep.
All of that's new, and now it's cooling great.
This really cool lid.
And that's the most important thing right there.
It's like built aluminum.
The new radiator cap.
That was like my favorite thing we've done to the car, and it was like $30.
That's one of the only things that went right for us. So
yeah. I don't we also did the spec clutch that turned out well. Everything on that side is pretty good. It drives really nice after we did the clutch, so it'll drive a lot nicer when we have the drive shaft put together and rebuilt. So after that, there's not much left to do. The engine's already built. The transmission is doing great since we did the clutch. The differentials, the factory LSD has no issues with it. We're just we're gonna redo the fluid next episode, I guess, whenever we put the drive shaft back in. And the interior is great. The exterior needs a little bit of love, but just on the front. The rest of the car is pretty clean.
Now that you mentioned the interior, big shout out to Al, our electrical engineer over here. We had a battery drain in this car, and the radio wouldn't even work.
Yeah, it was the battery drain came from the radio being stuck to the battery directly instead of to the accessory. So now it actually turns on and off with the key getting into ignition position 2, versus what it used to do, which is just on all the time. You actually have to manually turn off the radio, but it still didn't 100% turn off. So that was a big thing, and the sound system sounds a lot better after we put the new head unit in too.
Yeah,
so that was good.
He spent hours in there taking it completely apart, wire by wire.
Yeah.
Little voltmeter. But yeah, he killed it for us, man. That was huge, because no more battery drain. That's huge for us. And yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, man, this car's not far off from being what we want it to be.
I mean, so much of it's new. How much stuff did we replace? The whole cooling system, the whole clutch, flywheel assembly, the drive shaft's getting completely rebuilt. Yeah. The car is really getting an overhaul.
Suspension was also already done before we kind of started on this.
The guy who owned it before took care of 90% of the suspension rebuild. He has the Coney struts and H&R lowering springs, and he did the 7 series control arms and all sorts of cool upgrades to it. So it actually handles pretty nice and it drives pretty nice. I might go coilover later if this thing ever runs the way I want it to, but we're focusing more on the drivetrain right now because that's the most important thing. Everything else sort of works pretty good, but after that we should be good to go. But anyways, we're really psyched about going to RADwood. We're still gonna go out there and meet a bunch of you guys, and it should be fun. Just unfortunately not in this car, but next event hopefully we can bring this thing with us.